Hi, welcome back. I wanted to run you through some of my favorite matte products that really still have a nice skin-like texture. Some products that aren't going to fall completely flat on the skin. So I know I have a ton of viewers out there who still watch my videos, even though you might not have the same skin type as me, which is pretty much normal to dry year round. So obviously I gravitate more towards the dewy, glowy, satin finish products, and I realized that I don't always cover matte things, but I do wear matte products more often than you think, and I have a pretty good collection of products that I do enjoy using. So I want to talk about my favorites, why they're my favorite, why they look so skin-like and still natural, but still have that nice satin to matte finish, you know what I mean? So when I was writing down the products that I could think of off the top of my head that I knew I wanted to include in this video, the first foundation that came to mind, and it's the foundation I'm currently wearing, is the bareMinerals Bare Pro. This honestly is one of the most underrated foundation formulas in my opinion, and I have to say that I don't give it enough credit. For some reason, it seems like every summer I rediscover this product, which is weird because it is on the fuller coverage side and more on the matte side. So you wouldn't think that I would lean towards this in the summertime, but the reason I do is because it is so incredibly long wearing. It is, I would probably put this in my top 3 longest wearing foundation formulas. Second reason I love this foundation so much is because even though it is a little bit more on the matte side, it truly does look skin-like. It has a very nice fresh appearance. You can go from a really lightweight coverage with it to a pretty full intense coverage. I think it's very versatile in that arena. Yeah, I just continually, every single time I use this, I'm impressed with how my skin looks and even more impressed by the end of the day. So I think I've done a video talking about like sweat-proof, heat-proof makeup, and this was the top contender in that video as well. So if you're just looking for a really good multi-purpose foundation that can be used for a lot of different things and that does fall a little bit more on the satin matte side, this honestly would be my #1 pick. A drugstore option you'll hear me talk about quite frequently is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless. I have been wearing this foundation for years. Even though I have normal to dry skin, I feel like it still looks natural, it still looks healthy. Again, I would say that you can customize this foundation. I think in the past I've mixed it with moisturizer to get more of a tinted moisturizer effect. Medium to full coverage. It's so affordable. It's every time I see it at Walmart, it's under $6. So this is definitely one that has stuck with me, and that is not always the case for all drugstore foundations. You really have to be a top contender to make it for a while in my foundation drawer. And this one, it's just, yeah, really affordable, great for combination oily skin. I have dry skin. I feel like for a matte formula, it makes me look the least crepiest out of any drugstore matte foundation I've ever tried. All right, let's move into concealer. I have one to talk about, and you're gonna see a reoccurring theme within this particular product line. And again, it comes from the Bare Pro line with bareMinerals, and this is their Bare Pro concealer. It is a matte stick concealer. One of my all-time favorites. I use this for foundation a lot of the times because I really love the nice, like smooth, velvety satin finish that it has. It definitely does run on the matte satin side. But again, it looks like skin, and that's why I love it so much. The reason I really like using this almost as a foundation is because if I'm using, let's say, my Bare Pro foundation, I feel as if I get enough coverage from it that I don't really need to go in with concealer most of the time. So I'll kind of reserve this for just a really super natural, healthy makeup day and just use this as my foundation. I think it sits beautifully on top of bare skin. I also want to give an honorable mention to the bareMinerals Bare Pro lipsticks because oftentimes when I use the bareMinerals Bare Pro concealer as like an all over foundation, I'll use the lipstick as like a cream blush, and I love the formula. I actually use these more as blush than I do lipstick. Granted, I am wearing one right now for lipstick. Again, I think it's a great long wearing formula, but I also think that's why they work so well on the cheeks. They have a lovely matte finish to them, really smooth when they go on, and they're really long lasting. So these two guys, yeah, I kind of just will use them as like a full face makeup look and be done with it. But they just look so natural and skin like. That's the reason I like them. They are on the matte side, so if you're combination oily, I think they would work perfectly fine for you. I did want to give you a second concealer option, and I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I have been riding off a sample of this for months now, but I really do enjoy it. I will say I think this concealer falls a little bit more in the satin category, but I think it does have a tendency to dry down a little bit more flat. And it's the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. Again, I literally have been using this sample for months now. Again, looks very skin-like. I love using it as foundation. And I think a good test to see if your concealer can hold up to, not like creping and creasing and looking gross on your skin is just wearing it as almost like an all-over foundation, just to see how it does on your bare skin. And I think that this one always holds up so nicely. It always looks very smooth, very ethereal, and very healthy. It's definitely not a glowy concealer. It's not a luminous concealer, but it ultimately does what I want in a concealer formula, and that's just to add a bit of coverage, but still looking like skin. It's very delicate. It's a very delicate formula. It pats in very nicely, very smoothly. Just like a little baby smooth concealer. So I am very impressed with this one. Definitely worth looking into. So speaking of cream blush, I want to talk about, I think this was the first product that really got me into cream blushes, that really sparked my interest in cream blushes. And it's the NudeStix Intense Matte Lip and Cheek Pencils. Now, recently I talked about NudeStix in a video where I said, I love the concept of NudeStix. I love their packaging. I love the way that they've really integrated a natural, easy, fresh way of applying makeup. But sometimes I feel as if not all of their formulas are super unique, especially for the price. I will say the Intense Matte Lip and Cheeks, love the formula on these. I always have. Now, they also have two other formulas in the lip and cheek pencils. They have like their original formula, and then they have the gel like balm formula. That's where I kind of branch out, and I don't feel like those are my favorite, but Intense Matte, love these. I absolutely love them for cream blushes because they are so smooth and almost like blurring on the skin. Honestly, the bareMinerals Bare Pro lipsticks and the NudeStix lip pencils, these have a very, very, very similar formula. And one of my favorite colors to use on my cheeks is the shade called Pixi. You can see like I've got a little tiny nub left, but it's just like the perfect nude pink. It's not overwhelming, and you can also use these on your lips. So we do love a good multi-purpose product, but I do have to say, out of all of the NudeStix products, these formulas are probably my favorite, and they are matte, but again, they look really buttery, soft, and smooth on the skin. For a nice matte bronzer, I really love using my Fenty Matchstix. I think these in the past have gotten a little bit of a bad rap for being more on the dry side, but if you have watched my videos in the past, you would have heard me talk about why sometimes it's more important for especially products that are going to be sitting on top of your skin to be a little bit more on the dry side compared to, let's say, something like a liquid blush that has a lot of water content that oftentimes can really disturb your base underneath. So when it comes to my cream bronzers and my cream blushes, I definitely prefer them to have more of a solid to dry texture. And I think that's why I don't gravitate towards the actual liquid blushes and liquid bronzers that often. And so this is definitely a drier matte formula, but it does such a good job of adhering to the skin. It doesn't disturb the base. It looks really 3D. It looks very skin-like once you get it on, once you play around with it. And I just think it's important for people to know that dry doesn't always mean bad. This is a hell of a matte powder, okay? Like when I first saw how matte this was on my skin, I was just like, this probably is not gonna make the cut. But it makes up in the smoothing department so well that I cannot be mad at it. I can always add glow back into my skin, but you don't always get like a super smooth blurring powder, and that's what the formula of this one is. And it's the RMS Tinted Unpowder, and I have mine in the shade 01. Been talking about this for quite a few months now. It just doesn't let me down. I just cannot believe how blurring this powder is. And yes, it will immediately give your skin a matte finish. But you know, all you gotta do is pop like a little glow on top and you're good to go. No big deal. I love how, incredibly blurring this makes my skin look. If I am going to be wearing a little bit more full coverage, I don't necessarily want like that undone look that I prefer with my really light coverage looks. I want my face to look cohesive, and this really does a great job of just smoothing and bringing everything together on my skin without making me just look, like matte and cakey. So this one, it's a winner, no complaints. You know what? I've done a really good job of refraining from talking about my Caviar Stix for a long time now. I feel like I haven't used or talked about Caviar Stix in a good while. I've just been trying to drop off that train a little bit so, I don't get called a repeat offender 24/7, even though I will admit I'm a repeat offender. Anyways, there's nothing more deserving, in my opinion, than to round this video out with some of my favorite matte Caviar sticks. There's something about using these over just like a standard matte eyeshadow, like a powder eyeshadow, that I just think gives something a little bit more to the eyes. So it's come to my attention that some of the matte shades have been discontinued. I think the ones that are my favorites have not. But if I were to pick 3 matte shades just to just keep in my collection overall, the first would definitely be Au Naturale, which is kind of like a skin tone color on me. It looks like, let's just say, a pebble color. It's kind of like a mix of skin tone, a little bit of mauve. If you are my skin tone ranging into, I would say, like the medium, this would be a good one to look into. The next shade is Caramel. Caramel is kind of just like that warm brown shade that every single person loves. You can't go wrong with it. Great transitional shade. I think it would be versatile up into the tan skin tone. And then finally, the shade that I'm wearing right now, which is Cobblestone. This one is more of a grayish taupe brown situation. It does run on the cooler side, so if you aren't into the cooler shades, this one probably isn't going to be for you. But I would say out of the 3, Caramel and Au Naturale are the most versatile. I think they give such a smooth, like naked eye look, and I love that about them. Love it. Now, a lot of you are going to say, Shelby, what about Cocoa? Cocoa Caviar Stick is my ride or die. It is my one just true love in life, but technically it is not considered a matte caviar stick. If you look closely at it, it does have some flecks of shimmer. However, when you apply it to the lid, for the most part, it looks matte. But I can't in good conscience recommend it as a matte product because there is a little bit of glitter thrown in there. Okay, so that is my full roundup for matte but not flat products. Let me know if you have some favorite products down below. I would love to know if you have any more matte or satin tinted moisturizer recommendations, because that's something that I have really been looking for recently, and it's just harder to find that finish in a tinted moisturizer. And dear God, please do not recommend the Hourglass Immaculate powder, cream to powder foundation. Oh my God. In my 27 years of existence, I have never had a product look as bad on me as that formula. It's Hourglass Immaculate, like cream to powder liquid. I've seen some people talk about it in my comments, and I'm absolutely traumatized thinking back to the day I applied that to my skin, and I'm not joking. I looked probably about 15 years older than what I was. So, anyways, if you have some matte satin finish tinted moisturizer recommendations, drop them down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for anything else, same thing. And I guess I will see you in my next one. Bye.